welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can work together to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. Today we have with us Miss Christine Lewis. She is at the Northwest Community Church in Chicago, Illinois. If you're a regular listener to the Better Together podcast, you have heard the senior pastor from Northwest talk about how they have ministered to the community. And boy, what a wonderful thing they have done there. So Miss Christine, I just thank you for what you're doing up in the Chicago area, and I thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you. It's my
Now,
pleasure.
you know, Miss Christine, a lot of our churches, I want to say it may be as many as 20% of our churches, Free Will Baptist churches, have done the Know Your Community report. But I would almost say you all were doing the Know Your Community before there was such a thing. You were using census data and all the rest of it. That's not to say you haven't done a Know Your Community report, but you've been basically exegeting your community and trying to find the needs of the community to reach the people around you with the gospel. And so I think our listeners could learn a lot about that. A lot of them have ideas about what they can do to reach their community, but I think based on some of the profiles I've seen, a lot of our churches, even though they're not as urban as your church, they have some of the same needs that you've had. So let's talk a little bit about some of the needs that you found there in the Chicago area, which you are right in the midst of Chicago. Let's be clear about that. What are some of the needs that you all have picked up on by doing Know Your Community and doing other kinds of work to learn about your community?
Well, we realize that a lot of our families are in need of basic items. A lot of times, they don't have what they need to send their kids to school or to live their lives to the best that they can. They are also bilingual. That's a big thing that is a part of our community, and we do offer bilingual services. But one thing that we found was Care Portal. Care Portal, you can find them at careportal.org. They are a ministry. It's free to churches. And what they do is they go into the schools or they talk with social workers or maybe medical centers. And through the medical centers and schools and social workers that they come in contact with, they find families that are in need of basic things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times talking about a backpack for their kid or shoes, or sometimes it is electricity for the house to pay their gas bill. And so with the Care Portal that we have found, they have a process, and these social workers, they vet the need. So we don't just have somebody walking in off the street saying, my family needs $100. We do have that, but we're not as likely to just be able to have what they need. We're a really small church and we're just trying to do our best. But through Care Portal, they vet the needs. They actually have people who are making sure that this is a real need and this is a real concern.
So a lot of our churches, if I could stop you there for a bit, they've done things like Backpack for Buddies, or they'll do those kinds of things. One of the things we have in your particular community, I mean, we've got real poverty, we have real needs, and I guess it's, I don't know, 91, 92 since Pastor David was there, started the church, and you have had a history of meeting all kinds of needs. But part of that is you're inundated. And what I hear you saying is this Care Portal works out as a vetting process. So you're not just taking shoes and dropping them off. There's kind of like a partnership pairing. And you know for sure that what you're doing, not to say that these other things aren't good, but you could be inundated and just completely overwhelmed. But this is a way to go after and directly help folks that we know are in great need.
Yes, Care Portal offers you the opportunity to choose your radius.
Mm-hmm.
So our church actually chose 2 miles, and that is reaching, I think, over 10,000 people. I shouldn't have said that. I don't know the exact amount, but our church is meeting, it's probably more than that. In,
Yeah.
in that 2 miles, it was in the report.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm going to go ahead and stop you. I think you're spot on. I know our listeners are like, are you kidding me? You'd have 10,000 people in 2 miles? Absolutely. So, and you'd almost have to do a Google map of your church to see. So we're usually doing a 5 mile radius, and say you've got this many widows or whatever, but it is so dense where you're at. So honestly, you guys taking 2 miles and saying we're working on is an enormous undertaking. It's just an enormous undertaking. So you've got
Absolutely.
all these people in a 2 mile radius that you're looking for needs to meet.
Yes. And we have a school that if you stand in our parking lot, you can see the stacks of it. So we have a school that we have been ministering to. We do breakfast for the teachers. We do activities with the kids. We do backpack. But so what we're looking for are different needs that throughout the year
Hmm.
that we might not see and we might not know about if it wasn't for Care Portal, that
Hmm.
is giving us the opportunity to see that need and to choose to follow it. The great thing about Care Portal is they don't want you to just take the need to the school and drop it off. They actually absolutely are requiring our church to get um, educated. We have to go through a workshop so that we know how to drop things off to people. And they want the church. There isn't anybody to just drop anything off. You get the address to the people who are needing it, and you go to their home and you drop off whatever it is that there might be needing. And when you get to do that, they're also wanting you to tell them that you love Jesus, and you get to invite them to church,
Yeah.
and you get to tell them or show them that there are people in the world who care.
Yeah.
It's not just about getting them to church. They don't have to be Christians to be a part of this, but it really is showing our community that we want to help and we're trying.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So sometimes people hear us talk about some of these programs. They're like, but where does the gospel come in? Well, this is where the gospel comes in. And they're putting a name, they're putting a face, they're putting a church. They know this church did this. Care Portal is saying, nope, you don't just drop it off. We want you to meet them. We want you to invite them to church. We want you to tell them you're doing this, trying to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. So sometimes we get a little worried. Are we just doing nice things? Are we just doing some sort of social service thing? They're making you, in a sense, they're equipping you, but they're making you to actually make contact, and they're wanting you to say, hey, we'd like to have more relationship with you if possible.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
wonderful. It's wonderful, Miss Christine. So first off, let's just make that clear. Wherever you're at, you could go to careportal.org. And I know a lot of our listeners are like, but we're in a rural area. Okay. But you may be in a little bit of a better spot if you think about the reason they're doing it the way they are is because there are thousands upon thousands of people on top of each other, really. And this is just a great intervention, just a great outreach tool. So how long have you all been doing this, Miss Christine?
Care Portal.
Yes, ma'am.
We have just signed up to do it.
Okay, so when
Hasn't
I
been.
saw you, I saw you in, well, I saw you in July, didn't I?
Yes,
And so maybe about 5, 6 weeks ago, we are just kind of getting going in it. So how's it been going to this point?
it's going good. School just started, so we're starting to see the requests come in, and that's exciting. It's a little bit daunting to know which ones to choose, because we are in a area that has so many needs. There's a lot of requests, and so we just have to um, search through God and each other what we want to do and how exactly we want to do it.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is not your first rodeo, so to speak. This church, ever since its inception, has really been doing outreach to the community. What I'm hearing you say is here's a new resource we've picked up on that could be helpful to anyone. And by the way, you can go to careportal.org. You can sign up and get a regular little email where you can learn more about the organization and then look and see, is that for you? Is that a resource you could use? I want to talk to you about something else you've been doing, though, because you have so many needy kids in your particular community, and that's Safe Families. So if you're listening, you're like, I'd like to learn about Safe Families, go to safe-families.org. But we think, hey, just type in Safe Families, and if my memory's correct, two hands show up or whatever, and it is safe-families.org, and you can do that. So talk to our listeners a bit about how that works and you trying to reach and minister to your particular community.
So, Safe Families is my heart. I love children. I have loved children since the time I remember. Safe Families is an organization that is trying to make sure that kids are saved before the foster care system grabs
Mm-hmm.
them. The organizer is actually just a few miles from me in Chicago, which
Wow.
which was really odd and different. But to think that there is an organization that is out there working with DCFS, mind you, and the police and schools and a lot of other places to keep children from going into a foster care situation. Um, so what that means is, as as families, to be investigated by DCFS or whatever, you don't get help until your children are taken and you
Mm-hmm.
are found neglectful or abusive. Safe Families is trying to stop the neglect and abuse before it happens. So if there's a parent, a mom or a dad, and they don't feel like they can handle something, maybe it's abuse, maybe it's alcohol abuse or drug abuse, and they want to get treatment, but they have nobody to leave their children with, then a lot of times they neglect and abuse their children.
Mm-hmm.
Safe Families is a place where you can call them and the parent chooses, their kids are not getting taken away. The parent chooses to put their child with a family, a safe family, who's been through trainings and who has background checks and all of those types of safeguards. And there's a partnership. There's a partnership with the parents and the safe family, host family. And there's usually calls back and forth. I've had the moms in my home. I've had moms spend the night at my home with their children. And these aren't people I knew before. And so it's just an organization that is trying its hardest to make sure that if there is a kid who needs a place to sleep for, say, for a night, I have an extra bedroom and I can let them come in and do that.
So Safe Families means safe families. Exactly. It's aptly titled. And boy, it's a whole different ballgame than the care portal. You
It
know,
is. It
we probably
absolutely.
don't want to start with safe families. We're gearing up for it.
Their portal actually and Safe Families works together.
Oh, I don't doubt that, because you're finding kids in need, and it is a perfect hand in hand intervention, isn't it? So if you want to really go another step, wow, what another step. Now you mentioned there is training. They prepare families for this. And they're trying to prevent the Department of Social Services, they're trying to prevent law enforcement having to get involved in these situations. And how many folks have you all got working with Safe Families?
I think I've had 5 or 6 hostings
Mhm.
of people in my home. I've taken them all to church. With
Yeah.
I take the kids to church, and a lot. 2 times the parents have come
Hmm.
separate to meet with their kids at the church, so that they can see them for however long.
Hmm. Absolutely. So people can be in any kind of distress for any kinds of reasons. And this is a way to get some respite, to be able to kind of get on your feet a little bit. Because as you mentioned, Department of Social Services, once they begin the process, it becomes kind of adversarial, and hard to get disentangled from, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So this is a way for the church to be involved, for the Lord to be able to come into a picture. It is quite a big investment, a different kind of investment, isn't it?
Yes. So, say families has a lot of different tiers of help that you can offer. There's people like me who want to host kids in their house, and that's probably the biggest investment. But
Yeah.
then there's people who they sign up, and there's kids who need to get taken from one house to another, driven in a car. There's kids who need something. I know that one time I needed a car seat, and so I'm not sure if Care Porter was involved, but a car seat ended up at my house so that I could take the 2-week-old that was given to me to the doctor
Hmm.
with its mom. And so um, there's that you could give. There's lots of different churches that have different um, housing closets where there's different clothes. I know that I've needed clothes for these kids a lot of times. Most of the time, kids come to me and they don't have anything.
Hmm.
They don't have clothes, they don't have a toothbrush. So there's providing that care.
Yeah.
So there are different levels of safe families that I believe any church could do. And I asked, there's different organizations of safe families all over the country and in the world,
Hmm.
actually. So it's grown up, and it's been going for over 20 years now.
That's great. So whether we're talking about Care Portal or Safe Families, both of these entities would want people to feel comfortable. In other words, they don't want you to be afraid. They don't want you to be doing something you don't really feel safe doing. They want to equip you. So you think about, first of all, Care Portal. They're going to arrange a situation where they feel like it's safe for you to take shoes or whatever it would be to that particular person, and then try to train you on meeting them and speaking to them and letting them know you're doing this in the name of Jesus and inviting them to church. And some of our listeners, Christine, have done some of this, like through the Hope Initiative and through Bless Every Home. So already have some of this skill sets and not too different than what some people have done. And then talking about safe families. Now that sounds heavy, but what you're saying is it could involve taking someone from point A to point B, from one parent to another. to school, where conversations can be had in the car, and all the way up to where you're at, the highest tier where somebody stays with you. So, wow, what a great thing. And you're sitting here, you're listening, you're like, well, where do we fit? I'll tell you right now, if you've got a high level of single moms, high level of single fathers, that's a safe family kind of situation. You think about the high poverty rates, and we talk about that, the demographics of the Know Your Community, then that's going to probably also be safe families, but that's the kind of thing that the care portal just works great at. And with this interaction, it's not like you're just doing something and it's passed off, is it? It works where you have a relationship. Wow, Miss Christine, what a lot of information you provided us with today. I tell you, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my heart.
Now, you guys have quite the church up there. Haven't I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to drop in. How could I set up a meeting? How could I get to see some of what you all do in action and see the David Poteet man in person? How could I do that, Miss Christine?
Come to our church, call him. He's there, we're there. I'm a mile from the church. We purposely bought our house a mile from the church. It's still too far, honestly, but
Yeah, traffic and all the rest of it. And some of our listeners are like, I don't know. So I think we've got a podcast with David and Danny Kahn where they talked about a family that intentionally moved there, kind of like you all. And they planned they could go to Boston. I think now they live in Texas. But anyway,
we do.
they intentionally planned, and they went there, moved there, and participated and really helped there with the church too. So you people could do that. We've had a couple of e-teams stop by as well. So there's all kinds of opportunities, and I don't know, they could maybe check out a ball game or whatever in the process as well. So it would be good to visit you all up there in Chicago. And
Absolutely. We actually had a mom, a Free Baptist mom,
yeah.
moved her kid into Moody, and she
Oh
stayed at
man,
my house. She spent the night at my house after she dropped him off at college.
that's great. That's great. So
Call us. We will set you up. You do not have to pay those very high hotel prices unless you want to.
you don't have to stay on the $1 million mile for what feels like $1 million, do you?
Yes.
So we joke about you. I do want to say to you, and I want our listeners to think about this as well. We hear a lot about Chicago. You know, it is a beautiful city, but we hear about the crime rate. You guys are on the front lines, and you're trying to do something about it. And so there's a difference between talking and complaining. Woo, Miss Christine, you guys keep up the good work. We appreciate you, and we are praying for you, and we wish you success. And we hope that many of our listeners will adopt some of the techniques you use wherever they may be.
Absolutely. Call me if you have any questions.
And so we'll put you email us at questions@nafwb.org. Say, hey, help me get in contact with Miss Christine, with David. We'll get you set up. We'll make that happen. You can also find them out there on social media, but we'll put you directly in contact with him, and you'll be in good place. Well, thank you for joining us today, Miss Christine.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for listening today, and I bet you know somebody that could benefit from this podcast. Please take it. Please share it. Remember, every little thing we do, it really does matter. It really does make a difference when we're doing it for the kingdom. And remember, we accomplish so much more when we work together because we are truly better together. Thank you.